there's all these stories about, guys over in Macedonia who are running these fake news sites.
Number 24 is Content Farms in Macedonia.
Бидејќи ако се направи грешка, таа ќе биде кобна. Нема враќање назад.
So Europe need to remain more sexy lady in the world.
Ајде, мајката!
Господа ја чува Македонија и низините граѓани.
Round one of the local elections in Macedonia is now over, and VMRO comes out on top with 33 mayors outright. SDSM comes in, second, third, fourth? Dewey performs badly, but Ali Ahmeti, the former so-called NLA terrorist leader, now politician for life, crybaby man-child, says he's not going anywhere. Round two is on Sunday, November 2. We'll discuss all this and more on this episode of the Macedonian Content Farmers Podcast. I'm Jason Miko, coming to you from the foot of the Catalina Mountains in Oro Valley, Arizona.
And this is Cvetin and Jason in Skopje, Macedonia.
And we are recording this on Sunday, October 26, 1881. Cvetin, was the gunfight near the OK Corral, as I am always happy to tell people. I was actually just down there last week with a Macedonian friend of mine who was visiting from out of state. It's not in the OK Corral or at the OK Corral, but near the OK Corral. Common misperception. So, the good guys.
My childhood is now ruined.
Sorry about that.
It was at the just all right corral, not at the OK corral.
Yeah, the good guys, Wyatt Earp, Virgil Earp, Morgan Earp, and their friend John Henry Doc Holliday were trying to arrest the so-called cowboys. And it was Frank and Tom McClowry, Billy Clanton, Ike Clanton, and Billy Claiborne. Tom and Frank McClowry and Billy Clanton were killed outright. And Ike Clanton and Billy Claiborne ran away as cowards to die another day. So anyway, good guys won, and it's a nice little transition too. The good guys won in Macedonia in the local elections. So we are in between. This is episode 195 of the Macedonian Content Farmers Podcast. So as I mentioned in the monologue, first round was last week. Second round is November 1. VMRO won bigly, I should say.
Yep.
What's the prediction for round two? Huge, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be like a full sweep the way it's looking. VMRO won about 35 seats in the first round, with a couple of candidates dropped out, even though they qualified for the second round. Some of the big ones include Strumica after a very, very long time, under Zaev. There was a split in the faction of SDSM in Strumica, and VMRO took it. They obviously took immediately Bitola, Prilep, Veles, Štip, a lot of municipalities in the capital Skopje, like Đorđe Petrov, Kisela Voda, Gazi Baba, etc. A bunch of rural municipalities, all up to 35. Ohrid, obviously, in the first round. And SDSM took few small rural municipalities, or small towns, Kriva Palanka, Bogdanci, I think 3 in total. And particularly disastrous for SDSM is the fact that in Skopje, for example, where they should be the second largest party competing evenly with VMRO, the VMRO candidate, Orce Georgievski, who was doing a lot of outreach all around, including to people who would normally associate with SDSM. So, for example, he brought to his team an architect who was the runner-up in the SDSM primary. So he was he was very serious contender to be the mayoral candidate for SDSM, and he lost out they decided to nominate a woman who worked in the environment ministry, so the city is super dirty, so she will clean it up. But the guy who was the other guy competing for the SDSM nomination switched to the VMRO side, to the VMRO team, and he will be part of Georgievski's team in the future. So this is the extent of devastation that SDSM suffered. So in Skopje, they were not, the second strongest candidate was not the SDSM lady, it was Amar Mecinovic from Levica, like a young Bosniak, Marxist, political science major, you know the types.
Oh, yeah.
The SDSM candidate was not even third. One of the VLEN candidate was third. She was neck and neck with the DUI candidate for fourth and fifth place. She's fourth in the race, but just like by a few hundred votes. So Orca won over 90,000 votes. Then there are like 5 empty spaces, and then it's the Levica candidate with 27,800. Then the VLEN candidate with 25, 26, and then it's DUI and SDSM both at 24.
Wow.
So it's a complete disaster.
Wow.
So they're now facing a Skopje faction under Šilegov working against them, a Strumica faction, Znam is de facto a faction in Kumanova, so SDSM now has practically like no base of operations, and they will win in Centar probably. That will be the only serious municipality they expect to win. And that's with a candidate who was distancing himself from the party. And they will snag like a couple of more rural municipalities, but overall it's a complete disaster.
Wow. Speaking of Dewey, so I mentioned in the monologue that Ali Ahmeti, the rumors are that he's going to resign, but he's denying media reports. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe so. Dewey did get more council seats, city council seats, than in the first round than VLEN, their rival. VLEN got more mayors, and then we'll see what happens on Sunday, November 1. But there, would it be correct to say there is actually a shift finally going on amongst Macedonia's ethnic Albanians, that they're sick and tired of this guy?
Yeah. It's so one thing VMRO set out to do was, their main goal for the election was, okay, we're beating SDSM anyway, let's destroy Dewey this time. And they can do this with tactical voting, the same way that Dewey did tactical voting, or the Albanians did tactical voting in support of SDSM in the 2016 general elections to destroy VMRO, to bring VMRO down from power. Now it's payback time. Now VMRO said, okay, we'll have our people in majority Albanian cities like Tetovo, Gostivar, Struga. We will not run our own candidates. We'll have our people, and hopefully majority of Macedonians, vote for VLEN and help VLEN beat Dewey. And Dewey, of course, made a big deal out of this, saying that, well, look, VLEN is hoping to win with the votes from the Macedonians. They're going to lose to us 2-1, 3-1 margin, but they may win some mayoral seats with the Macedonian votes, but this is going to be a form of cheating, which, the type of cheating we did before.
Yes.
We invented.
It's only good when we cheat. So.
Yeah. It's cute when we do it.
Yeah.
But it was actually very, very close between Dewey and VLEN. And if we count that, okay, VLEN has like 3 parties, but it's mostly one large party. Dewey had 2 large parties in its coalition. So if we discount their votes, like Dewey on its own, and the core VLEN party is at Medžitis party, they're kind of even in this election. And it turned out that VLEN didn't even need the Macedonian votes, so they won in Chair. That was the big race.
Right.
That was the place that Dewey said, this is going to be the central point of the elections. We're nominating former foreign minister Bujar Osmani. Mickovski hates him, blames him for negotiating on the Macedonian national identity with the Bulgarians, even though he's an Albanian, so doesn't have skin in the game. This is going to drive Macedonians to vote against him. Dewey hired the Skopje mayor, Daniela Arsovska, to make a huge deal out of illegal construction in Chire, forcing the mayor who was running originally for VLEN to step down. And VLEN also nominated their highest profile person, Izet Medjiti. So it became like the most serious confrontation of the elections. Macedonians helped in this race, helped Medjiti win in the first round. And Bujar Osmani conceded, but said, okay, it's the coalition who beat me, like VLEN and VMRO, fine. But VLEN also won in Sarai, which has very few Macedonians. That was supposed to be like an easy win for DUI. VLEN also won all along the rural communities between Tetovo and Gostivar, which were again, you can't be the legitimate Albanian party if you lose here. So DUI has about 120,000 council seat votes. VLEN has, I think, almost 100,000. So it's not a big difference. DUI was saying we'll beat them 2-1, 3-1, especially after they had one of the largest parties in VLEN switch sides and join them before the elections, Taravaris party. Instead, it was even, and because almost even in the council seats, and if we count the mayoral seats where Macedonians helped, VLEN is winning very strongly. So they're in the lead in Tetovo and Struga and Debar. They're going to lose in Gostivar. They didn't have a proper candidate in Gostivar. They won Chire outright. They won Sarai outright. The Macedonian candidate is beating the DUI candidate in Kičeva, and we'll see what happens in the second round. But if DUI loses Kičeva, Struga, Tetovo, lost Chire, Debar, they'll be down to like a couple of rural municipalities where they'll have mayors, and Gostivar, where the candidate is more from the Taravari side than from Ali Ahmeti. So it's possibly even a worse disaster for DUI than it is for SDSM.
Good. I mean, as I've said many times on this podcast, and as I've written many times, with the ethnic Albanian parties in Macedonia, there is no ideology. Say what you will about SDSM and VMRO, like them or hate them, but they've been around for a long time. They both have a distinct ideology, pretty much, and you know where they stand. With the ethnic Albanian parties in Macedonia, it's always cult of personality. It's always about gimme, 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 gimme. What can you do for us? We're the victims. Victim mongering. Ali Ahmeti parlayed that from his murderous role as the leader of the so-called NLA into a party. He's been around for 25 years. It looks like Bujar Osmani is trying to position himself as the heir apparent now that football hooligan Artan Grubi is not in Macedonia. He was going to be the heir apparent to Dewey, but he's gone and will not be coming back. And Ali Ahmeti, whether he's going to resign or not, the actuarial tables for a ethnic Albanian male in Macedonia are probably getting very close to his age right now. And so at some point he will die, just like all the others before him, and his party will disappear. And that's the way Albanian parties go in Macedonia. And the sooner the better, is my feeling.
Yeah, it was a very legit report that he might be resigning after this. And Medjiti is actually, he was one of the heir apparents, and he decided to leave the party, set up his own shop, and he's now taking over factions, local branches from DUI, and especially after this election result, now that it's conclusive that Medjiti will remain in the government for the next 2.5, 4 years, depending if we have early elections or not. That DUI will not. I mean, this was the big hope for SDSM as well. That DUI will beat VLEN, provoke a political crisis in the government because the Albanian partner in the government is illegitimate, and then there will have to be local elections, or Mickovski will have to bring general elections. Early general elections where DUI would win again and be an indispensable Albanian partner, or that Mickovski will have to bring in Dewey in the government even without holding elections with a new reconfiguring in the parliament. Then Dewey would insist on a broad coalition that would include SDSM, that they will all negotiate on the Bulgarian deal. Every couple of months they would threaten to leave the government and force Mickovski to accept Bulgarian concessions. And now all of this is out the window. Now that Dewey has been shown that they're, slightly stronger or slightly weaker party. That VLEN is basically a very legitimate Albanian coalition partner. It should be very easy for them to purchase several new members of parliament from Dewey who would switch over, or both the alliance parties with Ahmeti could leave their coalition and rejoin the government, or there are some Turkish members of parliament on the Dewey ticket. It's basically, if there are elections now, early general elections, it will be a decision Mickovski and Izzet Medjiti make to help, especially Izzet Medjiti, deal another blow to Dewey.
Right. Now, I forget, was he a commander in the NLA?
I don't think so, no. He was rumored, Artan Grubi would spread rumors about him that he's a Islamist guy, that he's the Islamist faction in Chair. He was widely accused that he was one of the persons who pushed Ahmeti to drop the coalition with VMRO in 2017, that he's the one, and he would brag about this, that he brought the party from still maybe holding on to a coalition with VMRO to persuading Ali Ahmeti to stab the knife in VMRO's back and endorse, form a coalition with SDSM. And since then, mayor of Chair, basically, the worst central municipality in the city. Typical problems like you can imagine, like Little Istanbul. So nothing major.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's kind of move on from the first round. So second round, the mayors then take office. Within a couple of days after after being certified? Is that correct?
I think they can begin taking office.
Yeah.
Those that were elected as soon as it's confirmed by the Electoral Commission.
Right, because there's an awful lot of work to do, especially in Skopje.
Skopje, this was deliberate. So we had a bunch of fires in the summer in the two city dumps, which are managed, they're managed by the city. The mayor, Daniela Arsovska, has become completely unhinged. She's not even making sense. VMRO is even in their statements responding to her antics. They even say seek help, get help.
You need professional help. Yeah.
Yeah, they've gone past telling her calm down, B word. It's now this is. She openly sided with Dewey. She gave Dewey control over the key departments. I only noticed this recently, that the city dump, Drisla, this is the company that where the waste is, stored, dumped, burnt. They have a PR office, and also there is a separate company, public utility company, KHS, Komunalna Hygiena Skopje, which are the guys who pick up the garbage. So one picks up the garbage and takes it to the dump site, the other company manages the dump site. They're issuing press releases completely partisan, arguing with VMRO in a tone that, like a childlike tone. It's both managed by Dewey. They have these are the directors. They have VMRO was able to appoint boards, administrative boards of both companies with VMRO people when they won the elections. They appointed, but the mayor appoints the directors who are actually controlling the companies. The mayor instantly says no, but it's like the board that has approved the broad general, like annual program for work, and these companies are working according to the board, and the board is VMRO, which makes no sense. It's like the accusing having like horrible malfunctions in the government, but saying no, but you see the parliament appointed the government, and VMRO no longer has the majority to do anything in the council because there's combinations between DUI, SDSM, Levica. So they're just trying to find excuses for the executive directors of these two companies, and the problems are very now apparently, like very apparently, setting deliberate fires in the dump, in the city dump, which is full of methane. So like we had horrific fires during the summer. Air pollution, it's relatively close to the densely populated aerodrome eastern parts of Skopje. And now they're not picking up the trash. So the entire city is covered in trash.
Wow.
And this lunatic just goes to the government building, takes a selfie, it does rants on Facebook live on camera in front of the government, accusing these non-executive officials, like in oversight boards over in these companies of the problem, appointing DUI people like to actually run the companies, very deliberately mismanaging the companies. The government finally said, okay, we're sending all types of inspections. We have like a financial audit, sanitation inspection, the actual police. We're sending them to these companies the day after the elections. So the mayor is panicking. We're expecting arrests pretty soon for endangering the hygiene in the city. Yeah. But she was hoping that the citizens will blame the government. The government would, VMRO would have worse than expected results, and DUI would save their skin. This was the.
Whose side is Daniela on? I mean, who is she rooting for?
DUI.
She's okay. DUI. Okay.
Openly DUI. Yeah. So her antics in Chire, that where she was going from one to another construction site, and the Albanians, like they see her filming their construction site, they start shouting at her. Oh, look, I'm just a little girl. They're trying to beat me up, all these violent Albanians in coalition with the government. And this was all meant to, and she succeeded in forcing the VLEN mayor of Chire to withdraw. And the whole goal was that DUI will win in Chire, and this would snowball like in the second round. And she's like completely bought and paid for by DUI at the moment.
Speaking of supporting DUI, Cvetin, I think we should. Who's the most annoying man on Twitter regarding Macedonia from Austria? Gunther, whatever his name is, came out the other week in support of DUI. He does his selfie. Always does a selfie with either a happy face or a frown face, and he says, "I call on Macedonians to elect DUI, blah 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 blah, for European future perspective, yada yada yada." I think after the second round we should just go and start actively taunting him. So.
Yeah, I think I muted him finally.
Oh, finally!
To delete this.
I don't know. I can't decide if he's more entertaining or more annoying. So.
Yeah. My theory is that he's a Russian agent sent here to make all of us in the, at least the Slavs in the Balkans, like the Serbs, Macedonians, Bosnians, hate the West, because if he is like
I don't think he's doing a very good job. Like, he's just annoying. So anyway, that's funny. Okay, well, okay. What else do we need to cover in terms of the elections here?
Well, I mean, the other big topic that the left is now trying to impose on the country is that VMRO actually lost, even though they swept the country. because they had like 300 and something thousand votes, like 310, I think, 320 in these elections. They had, I think, 290, 300,000 in the last local elections. So it's an increase, I think. Unless I'm getting this wrong. I think it's a slight difference from the last local elections. From like 4 years ago, it's definitely a significant increase in the number of municipal seats they're taking, because they took Strumica from SDSM. Actually, VMRO is even leading in Karpaš against Stevčo. Stevčo got into the second round. The SDSM candidate was again third, I think. But they will likely side, the SDSM guy will likely side with Stevčo, and it's going to be a battle. But, VMRO possibly taking Karpaš would be like another, after Strumica would be the other major loss for SDSM. But VMRO had more than 400,000 votes in the general elections.
Wow.
So they dropped from 400 last year. So they dropped from 400 plus thousand down to 300 plus, like 120, 30,000 votes less.
VMRO.
And now SDSM is, VMRO. SDSM dropped like, I don't know, but they were already at the rock bottom, so they dropped in the last local elections. Then they hit another rock bottom in the general elections, so they hit another rock bottom now, but they're dropping from lower heights. But VMRO lost about a quarter of their votes from the general elections. And now SDSM is projecting, okay, at this rate of losing their votes, right? If this trend continues, they're drawing all these Bitcoin charts. Like, if they continue dropping like this, by the next elections in 4 or 6 years, we will be even. Like, and we have slowed the rate of our decline, so we have hit rock bottom, but then VMRO will, and that's bonkers. Like, the general elections were obviously super high enthusiasm elections, because we were about to bring down not only SDSM but DUI, who were actually running the government. It was all or nothing. It was like a must-win election. I wrote in an editorial, people would walk over broken glass to vote in those elections. While this time it's like, okay, well, I mean, we have the government we wanted. They're doing what they promised, especially with regards to DUI, holding firm on the Albanian, on the Bulgarian thing. They're launching criminal investigations. They're stuck in court or in prosecution now. The next thing that Mickoski is promising, that with this new mandate he will finally replace the state prosecutor, and then we'll see some corruption investigations proceeding, not just being announced. So, okay, fine. We might as well go for a long weekend, or, well, the weather is still nice. It wasn't a do or die election. And even if we get down to, like, if there was an enthusiasm surge in 2014, and if that is lost now, if our future elections come down to just the party base votes, VMRO always had like a much larger party base than SDSM, even before SDSM broke down in like 3-4 factions. So I don't think what they're actually they're doing some math with these votes. Who would win more seats? One, SDSM's in parliament. SDSM says we would have gone up from like 18 to 25 or 27. VMRO would still have like 55. So according to their math, according to the VMRO math, VMRO would have more than 60. I don't know what it's like, cold comfort, but this is mostly for Venko Filipčić, the SDSM leader, to spin the result as some kind of not a disaster, so he's refusing to resign. He says, I'm staying in. So yeah.
Although I see the head of the Skopje branch of SDSM announced he was resigning. So
Yeah, we'll see what Shekerinska does. She's strong in Skopje. Shulegov, the former mayor, is her guy, and he was withdrawn from the party essentially. So there is a lot of potential that we see, and especially that Filipci is in the Zaev faction, and the main anti-corruption investigations that are stuck currently are related to Filipci and Zaev. So he could be in a lot of legal trouble, and he could face a rebellion in Skopje, as he already has in Kumanovo and Strumica. So that could be a big problem.
I read, I wasn't able to read a lot this past week, just because I had a guest in town, but I remember reading an article, and I can't remember where it was, about SDSM becoming the Pocesization of SDSM, basically. Pasek being the Socialist Party in Greece that really just crashed and burned when Syriza...
Although they recovered.
Yeah, they're coming back now, but they crashed and burned for quite some time, and Syriza took over, and now Syriza is the one on the way down. But I guess the point of the article is that, is this where SDSM is going? Is it they're, have the potential for them to go the way of a certain set of extinct animals that used to roam the earth? We'll see. We'll see.
So Levica says, okay, we'll now pacifize SDSM and we'll replace them, and then we'll destroy VMRO. So now, SDSM still has some structure on the ground, a lot of public administration, knowledge, possibly even more than VMRO. VMRO often has to rely on them on their people for administrative expertise, as seen with the fact that the mayor of Skopje is actually courted a couple of public urbanization experts from SDSM to be on his side, because they're in the universities, they're in the public administration, in the secret police, in the judiciary, etc. That's SDSM. Levica has none of this. They have the protest vote, and but VMRO is not doing stuff that would cause such protests, such as making concessions on the name issue. So it's more, okay, we're just angry because it's polluted. The air was polluted all summer, and winter hasn't even started. It will get worse. So let's vote for Levica. They promised to, and they used they used to threaten we'll hang everybody, we'll shoot everybody. That was literally their slogans. Now they used a word for defecate on Mickovsky in these elections. These are their official party slogans. This is the type of party they are. So now they're in. Now the choice is: would SDSM vote for the Levica candidate in Skopje? They would still lose, and they would elevate his profile, this Bosniak kid, Amar Mecinovic. So he would maybe get closer to VMRO, and so would they help a party which is openly threatening to destroy them, just to make the Mickovsky's victory somewhat less satisfying? SDSM narrowly secured a second round election in Aerodrom, where Levica is very strong. So in Aerodrom, the VMRO guy didn't win in the first round by a few hundred votes. The second guy is a doctor from SDSM, a moderate, normal-looking person, and the third guy is a Levica guy. So if they pull together, again, they would not be able to beat VMRO, but there is a chance that SDSM asks Levica for their votes in Aerodrom, so their guy gets at least close to winning a major municipality, maybe in a crazy... Maybe if they start setting fires again, an Aerodrom is close to the city dumping grounds, they win, but it's highly unlikely. And then in exchange, SDSM votes for Levica in the race for the mayor of Skopje. They would likely lose both races. They would compromise, discredit each other, especially Levica, which does not have the type of voter structure to tell them, okay, you turn out and vote for the SDSM guy. That's not, they don't have this type of leverage over their voters. It's more like a vibe and a movement. It's not a structured party. And then in Skopje, VLEN said they will vote for the VMRO guy, for Orce Georgievski, so he would have one of these four remaining candidates which are kind of even endorsed him. So now by default DUI should vote for Levica. So this would boost the Levica candidate in the second round in Skopje. So he could potentially get votes from SDSM and from DUI, while the VMRO guy can get votes from VLEN. Again, he's losing by so much, he would definitely lose. But actually, the coalition between DUI and Levica is the most plausible because they're not fighting for the same voters. And instead, in fact, Levica tried to help DUI in the first round of the elections. So VMRO did not nominate candidates in Tetovo, Gostivar, and Struga. They said we'll focus all the Macedonian votes toward the VLEN guy. This is the most patriotic thing we can do. This will help defeat Ali Ahmeti. What could be more patriotic than beating Ali Ahmeti, helping the Albanian guy, and then of course they will get more seats in the Tetovo council, like more clout in the council, more appointments in the local administration in exchange. Levica ran their candidates in all three cities, and they said, VMRO is not competing, we'll run a Macedonian candidate, and we'll run on a nationalist platform that VMRO abandoned the Macedonians in Western Macedonia, and so we'll get a lot of Macedonian votes. And they did. They got like a few thousand votes in Struga, a couple of thousand, I think, in Tetovo. So it worked. So they can say, oh, look, we have this huge support in Western Macedonia, even though they are running a non-Macedonian in Skopje. Like they're doing the multi-ethnic thing in Skopje, but the Macedonian nationalist thing in the western parts of the country. And by running these three candidates who had no hope of winning, they just divided the Macedonian vote that could have all gone to VLEN and helped defeat Ahmeti even more strongly. By dividing the Macedonian vote, they're actually helping Ahmeti. They're helping the strongest Albanian party, which has done the most damage to the Macedonian national cause overall. So that's a very, perverted thing for Levica to do. They're obviously being coached at a higher level. They're obviously coordinating with, secret police people, with Ahmeti. They're obviously taking money from oligarchs close to DUI for this thing. This is not just like accidental. They now refused to endorse the VMRO candidate in Kičeva. So we have VLEN as a party says we will. They're not endorsing the Macedonian guy against the Albanian guy in Kičeva. So this is the ethnically divided race we have now. VMRO is running a doctor, a very distinguished person, married to an Albanian, blah, blah, blah. DUI is running a former guerrilla commander. And Kičeva is super important for DUI because they are. This is their stronghold. This is Zayas, the village where Ahmeti comes from. So if DUI lose Kičeva, they literally have nothing left. So VLEN says that there was a leak of wiretaps against the UČK commander, the DUI candidate, that he's harassing some woman employee in the municipality before the elections. So VLEN is actually called on him to withdraw from the race. And now that he's in the second round, they said, well, he should have withdrawn. So they're not, it's too much for an Albanian party to endorse a Macedonian candidate against an Albanian candidate, but they're like lamenting, oh, well, look, he's a flawed candidate. He shouldn't have made it so far. We had better Albanian candidates. So they're practically endorsing the Macedonian guy, as payback for the support they got from VMRO in Tetovo, in Čair, and in Struga and elsewhere. So the Albanian party is kind of helping us. Levica refused to endorse the Macedonian guy in Kičeva, even though they were running Macedonian candidates in all the neighboring cities who had no hope of winning. But the one place where the Macedonian guy can win, they're literally helping Dewey in this race. It's when the dust is settled, I think it's going to reflect very poorly on them. And then on the other hand, we have the mayor of Tetovo, who is in VLEN, who is like the second largest party in VLEN, who he received the Macedonian support, but then he refused to endorse to support the Macedonian candidate in Kičeva publicly. He actually called on he does not have a power base, he's in Tetovo, he does not have a power base in Kičeva, but still, like, you got the support, now you're supposed to pay back for this support. And he refused to do so. He actually called on his supporters to vote for the Albanian guy. So his party quickly withdrew, kind of rebuked him. But Mickovski very strongly rebuked him. So it's possible that either VMRO does not support him in the second round in Tetovo, maybe help Dewey win Tetovo. It might even be like a switcheroo, like VLEN kicks this guy out of the coalition but brings the Tetovo faction of Dewey into the coalition, like start the breakup of Dewey with this race. So now basically VMRO is in a position, they're big enough so they can juggle different Albanian parties and different factions of SDSM. So they can practically say, okay, we have the Kasami in Tetovo, he's out of the coalition, we'll bring in some other Albanian faction in his place. And this is like the outcome this is the potential for the second round, but also for there are like 7, 8, 9 possibly evenly sized Albanian groups in the country, which VMRO can now try to recombine, who will not be in a position to impose any demands like Ali Ahmeti would be if he had the united Albanian vote as he used to in the past.
Quite a bit of intrigue and Byzantine politics going on there in just the local elections in Macedonia. I was just looking up here where you were giving that description about Levica. So they're 10 years old, November of 2015, and they've increased their support, at least in the assembly, in the parliament, in terms of number of votes. And I think that's largely a reflection of economics, as well as, I guess, the so-called Prespa agreement, things like that. So, because that's when they came on board. But I mean, yeah, it's a wonder how people can vote for a group like that. Although every country has them, we have our the AOCs of this world and the Rashida Tlaibs and Ilhan Omar's. I think are all part of not necessarily the Democrat Party, but the other, I forget their names actually, the other far left crazies. Anyway, all right. Well, let's see. Okay, that's a pretty good wrap up of this this first round of elections. I will be again today's Sunday the 26th. I will be the first week of November. I'll be around. I don't have anything going on that week except for a couple of client calls. But yeah, we'll do a podcast shortly after the elections on the second round of elections on Sunday to find out where everything has settled, and then moving forward, of course, then mayors take their mayorships. They've got to start cleaning up Skopje and other cities. Then we're right into the holidays again, as we talked about, I think, in our last podcast. And then once we climb out of that at the end of January, then we'll see where things are in terms of the potential early general elections and going forward.
Yeah, that could happen, but Mickoski said he wants to have stability so that investments can
Yes.
flow, and obviously with his renewed mandate, the Bulgaria thing is now looming again. So all the SDSM has now lost hope that they will get in the government through the back door with the help of Dewey. The diplomats in Skopje were hoping that Dewey returns like they did in 2008, and this would give them leverage in the government, etc. This all is collapsing, but now also Bulgaria has to redo its calculations. Okay, we are not going to get like another Zaev-style government. Do we now deal with VMRO, who will drive a harder bargain, or do we keep Macedonia in the cold for the next 4 years, and then who knows where our relations stand after that? So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's get through the next round of elections first, and then go from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, this is a good wrap up. I hope our listeners are educated and edified and understand the.
Yeah, I should try to make a chart.
Yes. Anyway, let's catch up again right after the second round.
Yeah, sure thing, buddy.
All right, take care.
Okay, take care. Bye.